Um, roll call, please.
Director Perry,
Here.
Director Brett Eccles,
Here.
Secretary Arlene Schaefer,
Here.
Vice President Michael Schaefer,
Here.
President Robert Uten.
Just here. I can't see the agenda and I haven't printed it, so
Okay, give me 1 second. I'll share that.
thank you.
You can have mine.
One or two. Are you able to see the agenda, President Uten?
No, what I'm seeing is,
The blue screen?
yeah,
Technology. Yep.
I'm the only one that got this. They think I don't have enough money or something?
Extra.
Are you able to see that now?
no. I'm seeing what should.
Maybe
I'm-
Vice President Schaefer, you just want to run
Okay,
it?
Bob, do you want me to go ahead
Yeah.
and
Oh, yeah, please go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm wasting people's time.
okay, so Bob, we're at public comments, so I know we had one written correspondence on public comments,
Yes.
right? Anybody else from the sing the audience? I don't see anybody jumping up, so we'll move to items of study. Code Enforcement Officer report, David.
Good morning, Vice President Schaefer, board members, and President Uten. This morning, my report for September is this report summarizes major points for 3 ordinance enforcement topics covering scavenging, graffiti, and trash container enforcement. For the month of September, the CMSD interim code enforcement officer focused his efforts on patrols in various parts of the community. The goal is to identify and deter instances of scavenging and residential trash carts left within public view. In the month of September, the district saw a number of complaints filed with CMSD interim code enforcement staff regarding scavenging activity in the city. As with most scavenging complaints, the alleged violations take place in early morning hours. In order to address resident concerns, the interim code enforcement officer is patrolling the streets by 8:30 a.m. Included are below are instances of scavenging that were detected while the officer was investigating specific complaints. Month of September, I found 3 scavengers, a little low, but I also been working on the AI project, basically covering the entire city for that project and mapping that out for the AI to identify any manhole covers that are in need. So one on Canyon again, and we specifically spoke about this gentleman. This time I did let him know that the next process would be a citation. He did, I think he understood because he left the area right away. The other one was on Wilson. And then the last one was on Pacific Avenue. In the month of September, there were a few customer complaints reported to district headquarters regarding trash carts in public view. The following is a list of locations where trash cart violations were found and addressed by the courtesy notice process. 37 carts that I found. And then the areas that I found them, Hayes, Helena, Circle, Maple, Paularino, Rochester, and a lot on Westminster. I've gotten a lot of complaints about that area. And so I've been trying to get everybody whose trash carts in public view, whether it was a complaint or not, because I can't cite someone down the street and not cite the guy that has his carts, down the block. And then no cases of graffiti. And then on the last page does shows the amount of activity on what days. 10 on Tuesday, 6 on Wednesday, and 21 on Thursday. Those would be trash carts in public view. It does say scavenging, so, but again, I was very busy and we're wrapping that up now. So October will be a different month for us. And some more complaints have come in from different areas. Go ahead if you have any questions.
I do. Out of curiosity, did you have a lot of carts that were not closed? Because over in College Park, they're still not doing that.
I know we
They're
discussed
just-
this before. I'm not really paying attention about lids. It's
Okay.
more of, the trash carts being knocked over and just left. I
Well,
mean,
at the last meeting, I had commented that I had hoped that somehow they teach them on the truck to put them back on.
I don't know how that works with the mechanism on the vehicle.
You can do it. They've done it before and all of a sudden they're not doing it anymore. And everything is just open. And the bad part is, it's a mess.
It's a mess and again, like I say about the trash carts being knocked over, I mean, we don't know who those residents are. They could be seniors who that could be difficult for them to pick up. But other than that, one case of a damaged trash cart that I'm going to address this week and see if we can get a replacement cart over there and comply with the, cart in public view. It's right on Placentia. The gentleman was very thorough, took some pictures, serial number on the cart. So I'll address that. And he also included the
I just want
landlord.
to say you're doing a good job.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Any other?
I have a question. On the 21 on Westminster Avenue, do they have places that they can put their cart out of view that you're aware of?
They have a fence, and from what I've been told by the complainer or the complainee was that they used to keep them behind the fence before, and then it just kind of transitioned over years into leaving them out in the driveways, and them saying that, they use those side yards now for tenants to keep their animals. So maybe that person who has that little fenced in yard is using that for an animal or something. But I did get a call back from one of those residents on Westminster saying that that was a fire exit. And then the owner contacted me and said, no, those gates are locked.
Fire exit.
So that shoots the fire exit thing out the door if they're locked down. But I think he was just, and there's, 8 carts. So it's a lot of carts and I've been patrolling the area and noticing that just the trash carts are really going out, none of the organics. And so I'm supposed to meet with those like I addressed last month, telling you I'm going to meet with the owners when they got back in town and address this is if you don't want to put them behind the fence, then maybe you need to build some kind of a barrier. There isn't going to be any parking affected there because they're off to the side. There was plenty of room to maybe build some type of enclosure or barrier to keep them from public view.
David, I have a comment. This is the first time I've heard you refer to yourself as the interim code enforcement officer. Is that truly your title?
That's correct, sir.
So, that's the first I'd heard that. And it sounds to me like there's going to be some emphasis on amping up the citations, and I'm not sure I'm totally comfortable with that. And just exactly what is a citation?
The citation would be a written, basically, citation for the ordinance violated. In most cases, it's usually, I'm experiencing a lot more trash carts in public view. Usually people comply. This particular gentleman is a scavenger, and I've encountered him over a few different occasions, and I'm not getting compliance voluntarily. So I just use the citation as kind of leverage to, there is a further process than me just warning you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has
And
8
so-
carts.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt, but so well, my question really is what will happen when you issue that citation?
Well, I'm hoping that we don't have to go to that route. Like I say, I just used it as some kind of a leverage to let them know that I've encountered him several times and been very, compassionate to what he's doing, but it's just an ongoing, issue.
Okay, I don't want to belabor it, but thank you very much. Appreciate it.
No problem, sir. Thank you.
David, I've always been a big, because I have an alleyway right behind my office, I'm always big on the alleyways. And I've noticed an uptick on a couple of people coming down Royal Palm Alley. Some of those units have bins, the big
Dumpsters, correct?
dumpsters, thank you. And a majority of them have carts, like our carts, so they're going the single family route. The problem is they're all in enclosures, and that sounds like a really good thing that the city ordinance says they have to be in an enclosure. That's great. But what's happening is these scavengers are opening the gates,
That's
do
correct.
their thing, and they don't bother to put the stuff back in. I mean, you drive down Royal Palm Alley and there's, stuff all over the place.
I've seen it, large item stuff that have
Oh,
just been
it's-
left when
yeah.
people move.
And actually the city does a really good job of getting in that alley and getting the large, especially the mattresses, because they're all rentals.
Correct.
And so if you could just keep an eye, there's one young new guy that's been on the Royal Palm Alleys. If you could just once in a while take a look.
I try to, that's a regular, patrol area for me on that trash day. It's just a lot of area to cover, and maybe I just miss them and then move to another area.
I think they do move. I agree with you. Yesterday, I don't know if it was the same guy, but on the other side of my office is the Japanese supermarket, and I can't remember the name of it. Japanese Tokyo Central, whatever it is. Their dumpster is right out on Baker Street. It's on Baker Street behind a wall. And I think it was the same guy. All I could see were his feet.
Huh.
He had jumped into
dove
but
in
what
there.
he does, he pulled out some of the recyclables that he found, but he kept leaving all the other stuff on the papers and all the other stuff. So
Correct.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, the other thing, and Scott, I don't know if maybe I'll direct this to you, but our resident on Labrador or Gibraltar, because it's the same street, the guy that had the porta potty out in his front yard, it's still there. It's still got a fence on it. And I know the city had said something about it. My biggest concern again is if they're using that thing and it spills, we got a problem. It's right on a neighbor. If I was the guy's neighbor, I'd really be complaining. It's a beautiful the guy built a beautiful enclosure, but you can see it's a blue porta potty, and I just would like to see if the city's done anything more. Remember, he had a building permit or something, and his building permit expired. You remember, but that thing is still sitting out there like the proverbial sore thumb. So
I can, reach out to him and see whether he's having it serviced or something regularly.
I think he's having issues still with the city and his building permit because things aren't probably his occupancy permit by this point. But
Oh, so it's still a vacant house under construction?
no, they're living in it. And they had a travel trailer out in front of it for about a year that they were living in while they were doing the construction. But the travel trailer's gone, and they go in and out of the house. That
Yeah, and-
portalet is still out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'll look in the area and see if I can locate it.
You know where I'm talking about? It's where
I do.
Labrador
It's-
turns and
It is,
hits.
it is a shortcut to your neighborhood through there, so
I drive it twice a day. So.
not a problem. I've gotten some complaints about things happening on Corsica and they live in the State Street, so
Yeah.
I'm assuming that they're using it as well as a shortcut through there
Corsica's a great shortcut. Yeah.
to avoid, the Harbor Boulevard traffic in the afternoons and morning time.
Especially around in and out.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Brett.
David, first, thank you. I appreciate you doing your interim duties on top of your full-time duties, and it's been busy, and I appreciate you getting after it, especially this person on Canyon. So I'll be curious to hear next month if your final warning did something. And I know, I understand what President Uten mentioned, but the voluntary compliance isn't always going to work. So at some point we have to enforce our ordinances. We just have to. And I'm experiencing something similar with school campuses and playgrounds and fields with dogs. And finally, couldn't get, it was just becoming a dog park. And finally the city started issuing citations. Ooh, magic.
Everybody.
Now, are these people going to ultimately pay them? Who knows? But at least it's something. So hopefully your last warning will help on Canyon and elsewhere, but
And I did
get
try,
after it and issue it if need
I
be.
did try to enlighten them that there's a resident who drops their recyclables off on the corner of I think it's Pacific and Wilson. So I've seen them stop and unload bags right in front of the trash carts for this, to basically deter this issue and help the people. So I've enlightened them that this is going on. Whether he, follows up and gets that, it's kind of a first come, first serve thing, but any way to keep them out of the trash carts. And I know a lot of residents are concerned of identity theft. They're not really concerned that they're taking recyclables. Is people are more worried about, are they taking my information? So not a problem, sir. I appreciate that. And again, I'm, on top of that area.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And as you point out, I mean, it's identity theft. It's just your own private, privacy, but it's also, it'd be one thing if they were just going through neatly organizing. It ends up on the streets. So enough's enough, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
I would like to note that Thursday's your busiest day for trash filing. That's Mesa Verde's pickup day. So Mesa Verde must have the best trash stuff going out compared to the rest of the city if we have more complaints, right?
Yeah.
We got the good stuff.
We got the good stuff. Wait till Halloween. Okay, anything else?
That's it, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Appreciate it. Item 2, Trempepe Smith. Madam Clerk, I think this is your report.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. President and Board of Directors. And before you are details of the success the district has had in the months of July through September in working with Trempepe Smith on the district's communications engagement. Trempepe Smith has been working with staff on 5 campaigns, which most recently included the large item collection program. And currently we are working on the household hazardous waste collection program, which is set to launch on October 18th. The large item collection program ran for 1 month, beginning August 30th. Some of the items to highlight is that the metrics from this campaign show a total social media reach of 52,160 impressions, and through Google Ads reaching 1,944 individuals so far. The bus shelter ads are publicized currently for the household hazardous waste collection program. They were posted on October 4th in 4 different areas within the city. And according to the shelter vendor, impressions for these ads will estimate a total of 2.8 million viewers. So we should get some great traction there. Trempepe Smith also updated their regular engagement metrics, and for our overall social media engagement, it shows that our MailChimp list of subscribers who organically want information from the district has grown to a total of 3,138 individuals in the month of September. Other items of note is that in the month of September, we had a 879 website visit, and that may be a reflection of our large item collection program, folks who are interested in that program. And we also experienced the second highest ever reach in our social media of 96,816 in the month of September. We have Jennifer Nentwig here from Tripepi Smith. She has a presentation for you folks today and will provide additional details on our engagement. So I'll turn the time over to Jen.
Awesome. Thank you, Nolani, and good morning, President Uten, Vice President Schaefer, and members of the board. I'm not sure if in the room you're able to see the slides as we walk through them, or would it be helpful if I share them on my screen?
I have the presentation here, Jen, but if you'd like me to give control over to you, I can totally do that.
That's quite all right. If you have them there in the room, then I'll just kind of talk to them a little bit. So on the first introduction slide, just want to say hello again. So my name is Jen Nentwig, as Nolani mentioned. I'm a director with Tripepi Smith with the privilege of leading the communication support for the Costa Mesa Sanitary District. And this morning, I'll just be walking you through some of the highlights and metrics that Nolani previewed to give you an update on the engagement from the last quarter from July through September. So onto the agenda slide. Here on the agenda side, you'll see what we'll go over today, just the current scope, the highlights that Nolani had mentioned, digging into the metrics a little bit, and then looking ahead. So next slide, onto the current scope. Before we dig into the highlights and metrics, I do want to review our current scope for our support to the district because it is a little bit different from last year. Following our engagement last year, the district reevaluated its...
Jennifer, I'd like to interrupt. That's not showing up on my screen.
You know what, I'll go ahead and share mine just so that way we can all be looking at the same thing. So one moment.
Thank you.
You bet. Oops, would it be possible for me to have the ability to share my screen?
Yes, give me 1 second, Jen.
All righty. All right, it looks like I should have the ability, so one moment. Okay, can everyone see that all right?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect. Okay. All right, so now here you can see the scope that we're referring to. Essentially, we had assisted the district with communication support last year, and there were a lot of lessons learned there. And part of the goals last year were to build up some of the district's internal capacity for communication support. So some of the areas that the staff is running with this year include your regular ongoing social media content and just some of the other communication elements that we learned together through the last year that now staff has the ability to run internally. But our current goals, as you can see here on the slide, as part of our scope, are to run those 5 program and service campaigns, which we'll discuss 2 of them in detail today. We conduct quarterly communication planning meetings with the district, which we just completed our second one last week. And then we provide ongoing graphic design and general communication support and project management for those communication efforts. All right, so now we'll dig into the highlights from the last quarter. And before I really jump into giving you examples of the content that we've been working on with the district, I want to really focus on this core axiom that we have with Tripepi Smith. And this drives all of the strategy discussion and the planning for the campaigns that we have, because we want to make sure that everything we're working on has solid content, that we're thinking strategically about the distribution mechanisms, and that we measure the impact that we see with all the various communication elements. So there you can see content times distribution equals a strong impact, and we want to avoid all of these other possibilities that might have not as great content or not strong distribution. So with that, we'll get into our examples here. So the first highlight from the last quarter is the large item collection program campaign, as Nolani had mentioned. And for the content, you can see this example here at the right. This is a screenshot of the social media content that had gone out, really raising awareness about the program, educating people about the criteria for what can be part of this program and how they can participate. And you can see the distribution mechanisms listed here on the slide. So we had a press release go out from the district, a news article up on the website, an alert box on the website. So it was the first thing that people saw, a print flyer, social media that included once a week posts for a whole month, as well as actually each of those posts was boosted to further reach your target audiences. And then there were emails that went out to stakeholders and partner agencies. And then new this campaign, we also had Google Ads. And to give you a preview of some of the impact, the numbers that we saw were total social media reach of 52,160. And then the Google ad impressions were 1,944. Oh, and sorry.
Jennifer, could I ask, I don't know what the term reach means.
Yeah. So reach is really the people who saw it. So
Of people who actually viewed it. Okay,
Yes.
that's good.
yeah, and then to put that in context a little bit, as you probably remember, we also helped with awareness campaigns last year as well. And this particular campaign performed even better than most of those. So the
Yep.
campaign last year to promote the proper disposal of fats, oils, and grease, that one reached about 44,000 people. So this one being particular traction, I think as we've been refining the message, working even more smoothly with your staff, and really thinking critically about the type of information that people want at certain times of year. So that is this campaign. And then our next item to highlight are those bus shelter ads. So on this slide, you can see one of the examples of the artwork, and the message here was really targeted. We got input from staff about the types of household hazardous waste that are most frequently mishandled, and paint was one, and batteries was probably the next most frequently seen household hazardous waste. So this one shows you the paint example, and then there was another design that featured batteries, and those ads are currently displayed in 4 locations across the district service area. And then to reiterate what Nolani had mentioned in terms of the impact, you can see here the numbers we got from the bus shelter vendor. They estimate 2.8 million people seeing those ads as they drive by throughout the month. And we also want to make sure that we're taking a look at the programmatic impact. So we will be collaborating with Nabila on your staff to see what kind of numbers we see for the household hazardous waste program participation, just the outcome metrics there for this campaign, as well as the large item collection program. But in corresponding with Nabila, I understand that those metrics will be available later this month. So we'll also want to see what that looks like. All right, so if there is nothing else on this program, we'll move on to highlighting some of the metrics.
Jennifer, Director or Secretary Schaefer has a question.
Yeah, I just wanted to know on your bus shelters,
Yes.
you said you had 4 bus shelters ads. And how do you choose these?
Yeah, great question. So we get a list of all the locations from the bus shelter vendor, and they are listed by the intersections, and then they also have the estimated reach for each of those intersections. So we worked with staff to identify the intersections first that we know would reach your service area. So we wanted that to be the first criteria. And then second to that, we looked at the places that would have the greatest reach.
Okay, thank you
Yep.
very much.
Yeah.
I have a question, Jennifer.
Yes.
What is the cost for that, to put those on for 4 weeks on those bus shelters?
Yeah, I can try to pull up the contract to have the exact number. I believe it's around $3,000.
For each one? Or
No, that's total.
Total.
Mhm.
We know the 4 locations.
Yes, I do have those. So one is at Harbor south of Adams. One is at Harbor south of Nutmeg. One is at Harbor north of Wilson, and one is at Bristol south of Town Center.
Okay, good. I think those are,
Great.
when you look at travel in Costa Mesa, I don't know if any other two streets to get more than Bristol and Harbor.
Mhm,
Believe me. Thank you.
of course. All right. So then we'll jump into some of the metrics that I can reiterate from Nolani's introduction. So on this slide, you can see the overall growth in followers and subscribers for the district social media accounts from 1,742 in January of 2021 up to 2,051 in September of 2021. And this growth reflects the district's efforts to share relevant information via its social media channels through consistent regular posts, as I'll elaborate on the next slide. You'll see the numbers of posts.
Jennifer, do we have staff and you establish the goals for the followers and subscribers?
Yes. So in terms of numbers, I would say that we are most focused on getting kind of that organic growth that would come from people engaging with the content and having really relevant and timely information on the platform. So I think rather than having that goal number of followers, we have more so process goals. So we want to make sure that we're posting X number of times a week with relevant information and providing meaningful engagement when people have questions and comments. So yeah, I think we're focused more on those process goals at this time.
Thank you.
And then in terms of the content that's going up on this slide, you can see the number of posts each month across all your social media platforms. And I would say that it's notable that the number of posts have stayed above 40 per month, which really speaks to those process goals I was mentioning, that the district does have an established, credible presence on social media. So your staff is really engaging with your customers there. I think you're making it easy for customers to find information across the various platforms where they may already be communicating, whether that's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, et cetera. And then the spikes you can see on the chart correlate to the various awareness campaigns that the district has run. So in September of 2021, the district shared 77 posts across social media platforms, reflecting the awareness campaign for the large item collection program that we discussed earlier. And then of note, I did go back and look what the February campaign was, since that is the most, has the most posts here. And that one was the program on how to recycle using your mixed waste cart. So any questions on this slide before I move on?
I have a quick question. Do we ever get any negative responses on Twitter or Instagram?
There are a few critical questions, I would say. So sometimes there are issues that come up that we work with staff on. Your staff does handle questions extremely well in terms of getting consistent messaging across. And so what we see, which is always a really good thing, is that there is a consistent message, and as much as possible, you're referring people back to your website. And so that process is working really well. And then I would also add that if there's ever a consistent trend where things are popping up that might be concerning, that's when we try to strategize with your staff and say, is this information confusing? Is there something that addresses this on your website? Do we need to think of some frequently asked questions we can post somewhere? And so we're definitely tuned in to what kinds of questions and comments pop up over time.
Okay, good, thanks.
Okay. And then I apologize for the trickiness to see this slide, but I'll just highlight a few things here. So if you can see on the screen, the notable thing here is that your reach in September of 2021 is the second highest reach ever. And as Nolani had mentioned, your total during the month of September was 96,816 of a reach. And so that is your second highest reach ever, and just shows the strength in the messaging that you're getting out via social media. So I'll move on from that. We'll shift gears a little bit and talk about your website metrics. So on this side here, you can see the number of people visiting the district site from your various social media accounts. And as you would expect, based on the data we've talked about so far, the greatest number of people visiting your site are coming from Facebook. And so that reflects the awareness campaigns that we're running as well, with people seeing a lot of the content and the boosted material on Facebook and going to your website to find more information.
Is there, I'm sorry, Brett.
No, no, go
Is there September of all months to get the most hits?
Yeah.
Did we do something in September really good that we might want to tag onto?
Yeah, so that was
Large
that
item?
large item collection program campaign.
Okay, I think you said that earlier, but so
Mhm,
that's really good. And,
mhm,
thanks to CRNR for jumping on that because that's huge.
mhm.
I mean, so anyway, Brett.
Jennifer, just question on website. What's our user average length of stay, so to speak, on our web?
Oh, I don't have that information handy. I would have to get that and follow back up with you.
If maybe you could just shoot that over, I'd be curious, because I think it's important as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
What they're doing on there. Thank you.
You got it. I will make sure that we follow up with that. Yeah, and then I think Nolani had also mentioned it a little bit in her intro. I think it'll be interesting to see the average length of stay based on this as well, because I think the district's new website could factor into that quite a bit in terms of it being appealing and user-friendly and somewhere that people are interested to spend some time. So that could factor into that as well. Okay. And then we'll shift gears one more time into email metrics. So on this slide, you can see the number of MailChimp emails distributed by the district each month. And we've talked with staff a little bit about that. It is important that the district send regular emails to customers to help raise awareness of your programs and the various services available. But rather than focus on a specific number, the most essential thing when it comes to emails is to make sure that the information is timely and relevant. So the spikes you see here are related to when there's significant news to communicate, whether it's a particular program that's new or being highlighted, or holidays where people have, those delay types of news information that they need to know. So I think that the district is doing a great job here with good numbers ranging from 4 as a good baseline number, getting in people's inboxes once a week, to that number of 10 when there is a big program that's being highlighted and there are holidays and things that need to be communicated. So that is that. Any questions on this slide before we move on?
Yes, do we have emails for everybody in our district?
Yes, so I'll actually get into that on the very next slide. So here's the number of emails on the MailChimp distribution list. And you'll see here that it has grown from it's grown up to a new total of 3,138. And this does not reflect everyone in your district. And we have worked with staff to implement processes where as people are new customers, that they're being added to the email list. But the growth here has been organic. And people have been signing up as a result of seeing the district's other communications, either on social media, in their email inboxes or the website. And the district has previously discussed the idea of purchasing email lists. And as we've looked into that, price estimates can vary, but one estimate that we received said it would be about $10,000 for a list of 40,000 emails. And with that, then you would run into the concern of people potentially unsubscribing if they are not familiar with the sender or why they're getting this email content. And so we really tried to focus on the pros of that organic growth. And so people on this list now are people who know what they're receiving and why. They're receptive and more likely to absorb the information. And again, the cons of having that purchase list is that approach could include people unsubscribing immediately or just tuning out your messages. So right now we're feeling good about moving forward with this organic growth and just trying to see this rate of growth month over month as we continue to focus on really engaging and relevant communications.
Jennifer, do you think that having a new website in the middle of this process is a plus or a minus? As people need to refamiliarize themselves with the website, and or the new website is so helpful and inviting that it's a plus.
Yeah, I really think it's a plus, to be honest with you. I think to your point about people kind of reorienting themselves, the brand is consistent. It's not like a whole new brand that people don't know who you are or what's going on. I think that there are so many things that are still recognizable about the website that it's still familiar to people. And then the pros of the new website are just that it's so much easier to navigate and
Okay,
engaging for people. So I think it's a pro.
thank you.
Mhm. All right, and then looking ahead. So just as we look into the next quarter, a couple of things I'll highlight. As Nolani mentioned in her intro, we're working on the next campaign, which will focus on household hazardous waste, the household hazardous waste collection program. And this is scheduled to launch October 18th. And then looking beyond that, we know that the holidays are coming up, and that's a great time to emphasize proper disposal of fats, oils, and grease. And so that will be our next campaign, looking at kind of those winter holidays. And then we also know that SB 1383 is a big issue that the district will be working on. So we'll be working together with staff to put together materials and strategies to work on that outreach as well. And I believe that is our last.
You stole my question. I was going to ask about 1383. I'm really glad to see us incorporate that. Not only is it a big thing, Jennifer, it's like the elephant in the room. I mean, and so I'm glad to see that we've got that on the docket. That's
Definitely.
Jennifer, I'd like to compliment you on your color scheme. It happens to be the same as the district.
There we go.
Is that in on purpose?
No, we're just so aligned naturally.
gee, Bob, good catch.
And I believe that's our last slide. So I'll go ahead and open it up for any further questions.
Anybody, staff, anybody other questions for Jennifer?
Jennifer, Director Perry asked about emails. Is there any way to pilot a certain portion of that, rather than spend the $10,000? We give the email recipient the chance to unsubscribe. Have you gone through that process before? And there've been substantial unsubscribing or whatever for purchasing this kind of email list.
Yes, so we do work with other organizations in gathering other lists. So oftentimes there will be maybe an existing list that a city has of lists that they may have signed up for a different topic. And so we're using that same list for a different topic. And it is fairly common to see people unsubscribe. But to your point, it could be possible for the district to consider purchasing a small number of lists, and then we can see for the district specifically what that unsubscribe rate could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like you and staff to look into that if you would, please.
Okay, definitely. Thank you.
Great. Anything else for Jennifer? Thank you for a great presentation this morning. We appreciate it always. And thank you for continuing to work with staff so well. I know it's been a good relationship. So please keep it up.
Thank you. It's our pleasure.
Thank you. All right, we're ready then. We'll move to item 3. Steve.
Good morning, everybody. So I'm here today to discuss the recent trip to Tri-State Seminar. Joel Ortiz and I went this time. As you know, they have a theme every year, so this year it was Star Wars. Slide, sorry. So the seminar, it covers many aspects from the water industry. So for our guys, we need our certificates, so we need contact hours. So at this, contact hours are available for all the water industries such as collections, treatment, distribution. So by attending these different array of classes, we also learn what other agencies in the other states are implementing in their programs. So I've been attending Tri-State for many years, and I definitely learned many innovative ideas throughout the years. Slide. So just briefly, a little history of Tri-State. In 1985, there was a meeting between Arizona Water Pollution and the Colorado River Basin section, and they met in Yuma to discuss a plan for developing a training seminar for the operators of Arizona, Nevada, and California. So in 1985, they decided to hold a 2-day seminar in Bullhead City, and they had about 120 attend. So over the years, it's been held at different locations. So for 20 years, the event was held in different hotels in Laughlin. So due to the increasing attendance, they moved it to State Line, and it was a State Line for 9 years. In 2013, Tri-State then was moved to South Point Hotel in Las Vegas. And in 2018, the participants number were almost at 3,000. And they always mention it that it might be moving to a larger hotel. For this year, the attendance was about 2,000. Slide. So throughout the week, there's more than 100 classes that one can attend. All fields, including collections, pre-treatment, distribution, stormwater, backflows, laboratory, everything in the water industry you can find here. So also at the seminar, they also hold workshops if you want to get certified or recertified for your NASCO. Also inspection classes or learning lab skills. They also usually held tours, but due to COVID, they didn't have any tours this year. So after classes are done for the day, the classes run from like 7:30 to about 3:30. So after the classes, the exhibition hall is then open. And in the exhibition hall, they have about 300 booths of vendors, all in the water industry. Vendors that range from selling simple tools to heavy equipment, sewer trucks, CCTV equipment, everything that's water related. Slide. So briefly, I'll go over a few classes that I did attend there. One was interesting. It was agency in Arizona called Liberty Utilities. Also, we experienced a similar problem that we were having in a force main. We had issues with Eldon. So their force main was kind of scary. They had 4 breaks within 3 years. So they had to come up with some ways that they can assess it. So they went over like 3 different techniques that they used to measure the thickness of the walls of the force main. So in the end, they ended up doing spot repairs and liners throughout the main. Slide. Okay. Also, as you know, AI is becoming more useful in our industry. This class went over various uses of AI for assessing sewers, manholes, and during CCTV operations. As you know, using AI cuts down on manpower hours, make it more efficient. We're now using AI to assess our manholes in the district. Back in 2013, we had a contractor inspect all our manholes in 2 phases. It took a while and it was expensive. So now with AI, the district is saving time and money by keeping it in-house. And it's more efficient for us. Slide. Also, technology seems like it's increasing all the time. The cameras they have now, they're incredible. So in this class, well, as you know, CCTV, I don't know if anyone's ever operated a camera, can be very tedious, time consuming. Because when you're inspecting, you're sending the camera in. You got to stop the camera each defect, lateral, make the report NASCO. So with these new cameras, all you have to do is just put the camera in and just run it forward. You don't have to stop or anything. It records everything. It makes the observations while it's in motion. So by doing this, the footage is immensely increased. So this is the new technology for the cameras out there. Slide. And lastly, debris caps. A couple of tri-states ago, I went and saw these guys. They had a booth in the hall. And I liked how the idea was that these caps are used for keeping dirt out of our valve caps or our valves. What they do is we did a exercise a couple of weeks ago at a Giesler pump station. We wanted to exercise our bypass pumps. So years ago, we installed these into the valves. And when we got there, we just unscrewed it, took it off, and it was clear inside, clean. Because over time, if you don't have caps, dirt, water can get inside and could interfere with the operating nut down at the bottom for the valve. So by keeping these caps in, it keeps out the dirt. For emergencies, you really don't have time to figure out how to get all the dirt out with the back. So I know we're doing a lot more force mains. Like we just did a exercise was last week with Iowa. And I'm having our pump guy go through the stations that need more of these because we added some new ones at Iowa and then some more at 19th coming up. So he's getting me a list and we'll order some more so we can put these in also. And that was my class. Any questions?
Questions?
What is the cost? What is the cost per item of those?
I think they're around $20, $25.
It's well worth it then.
Yeah.
Are they available? Are they
yeah.
available for home use? I have a couple of valves I'd like to keep from getting dirty.
For a clean out? I don't know.
And then the other question I had for, did you get to go to Bullhead City to one of these conferences?
The first tri-state I've gone to was when it was held at Prim at the state line. I've never
Glad to
gone
see they're elevating their,
I know.
from Bullhead to Laughlin to Prim. That's ambitious.
Las Vegas.
What's in Las Vegas? Yeah.
Steve, an immensely important and a great explanation of the tri-state history. And, I used to participate in helping develop the programs on the sewage treatment plant side. And it is a very impressive conference. And I'm really thrilled to see that that you've discovered an agency that can actually determine the wall thickness of pipes. And that is going to be so important. And then in the last 20 years, we've struggled to find those kinds of technologies and have thought about, adapting some of them. And, that Eldon force main is a single pipe. And I think it's extremely important that, that we follow up with investigating the wall thickness on that and or the other force main. So I really appreciate your attention.
We lost you, Bob. Brett?
Yeah, just quick question on the camera technology. Is that now readily available? And if so, what are we talking ballpark figures?
Attendance at those sessions. So
Yeah, there's many camera companies out right now. There's I would say 20 at least different vendors. And these cameras are very pricey. I know when we bought our camera about 5 years ago, it was about, for the whole unit, it was about $100,000. I'm sure these are
upwards of that, then I'm sure. Got it.
Especially with today's.
Yeah, thank
But,
you.
As you were going through that, I was thinking if they're that quick, what do we, what's it take you guys to do? How many days?
let's see, depending on the operator, and, their experience. You can maybe do like 3,000 a day televising,
3,000 lateral or
3,000 feet,
yeah,
linear feet.
That's with our current
our
operation.
current. It'd be worth taking a look at seeing if we had some new technology, if we could cut that. Yeah, we've always prided ourselves in cleaning the system and looking at the system as regularly as we do. If we could make some major improvements, it might be worth looking into as we get into some next budget process and stuff. I would think. I mean, the more we when I worked at McDonald's hamburgers, they always had we lived by a motto of, if you have time to lean, you have time to clean, right? So the more you lean, the more you clean. It'd be worth looking at, I think, from a budgetary standpoint.
And these
Well,
new
Yeah,
cameras-
I'd like to ask Scott and or Steve a question. Are we doing our own CCTV work that we used to farm out every 10 years?
Yeah, currently we just use our camera for run into issues while cleaning. And any other, like if we have root issues or stoppages, we'll send the camera in. But like on a routine basis, we do not televise. We still hire a contractor to do the
And-
entire system.
And do you know, Steve, we could specify that they use this particular camera type, I expect. And do you know when our next CCTV of the entire system is intended to occur?
I will say probably another 3 years. Another 3
So
years.
in 3 years, probably all these, this would be an enormous money saver for the, for the contractors that we hired to do this, or should be. And it sounds like it's a wealth of additional information. And when, when we clean, I forget what the cost of it is, but just so much more information would be available, probably, well, be available.
Good.
Thank
Good
you.
thought. Thanks, Bob. Okay, if no other questions, we'll move to item 4, then the CR&R benchmark measures progress report. Scott?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Vice President. There's really nothing to report today because at the time we were preparing the staff report, the data was not available. So we will bring back that data, the performance measurement data, to you at your October 25th board meeting.
I will, from a benchmark standpoint, I don't know about the rest of the directors, but the phone calls from concerned residents on missed pickups, I haven't gotten any in quite a while. So, whatever attention they're giving, I know I appreciate it, and I'm sure everybody else does too. So,
I have a question for Mike when we get to comments.
Arlene, you had a question for Mike?
The only thing I have is that what do you call it? The green cans, as far as the lid. But other than that, I'm not getting any comments either, which is nice.
We'll wait and see what happens at Christmas tree pickup time.
Well, that should be resolved. We'll get the word out to everybody.
Yeah, I should.
What's the date of our Christmas this year? What day of the week?
Christmas is December 25th.
I know, what day of the week?
Oh, it's a Saturday, isn't it?
Okay,
Isn't it, Mark?
It's Saturday, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we should be okay this year. Yeah, Monday pickup will be on.
is consistent.
Yeah, I know that. I don't know the day of the week. Mike misinterpreted. what I
I'm just
said.
trying to fill it. I'm just trying to fill in for Uten. I mean,
Scratching his head.
Thank you, Mike.
Wow.
okay, then we'll have that report next month. Sorry for the frivolity, but it is still early. Okay, oral communications and director comments.
Can I make a comment to Mike? How are we doing with staffing with CR&R now? Is it getting better?
It is getting better. We've hired 12 new drivers.
Good.
We're utilizing a third-party vendor to help assist with some of the large item pickup. So I think that the timing of your messaging and our timing of pivoting to be able to accomplish
Good.
that is then.
Because I knew that was happening, but I didn't know if it happened already. Okay, good, good. And then I have a question for Scott. You know, when we do the large item pickup, it was so great this last time. Do we get credit for all of that pickup?
Sorry, diversion credit? If they're white goods, if only they're white goods, we get credit for diversion. So like other dishwasher, refrigerator, that stuff like that's get recycled. Other than that, that's it.
Is it possible on the large item pickups to get some kind of report on, or do we already get a report on tonnage or?
Yeah, we send you an annual report every year.
I think I'd like to see at least an annual report on what they're picking on. And I don't need to know that there were 24 barbecues picked up, but some kind of breakdown of metals and whatever you guys can do, if that's possible. Okay. It's funny, when we used to do the large item pickups that were scheduled, scavengers knew those, they had the dates probably before you guys did, and it's funny to see these guys driving through the streets now and looking for stuff. I mean, they know we put them off a little bit. It's kind of like, they're on, they're on scavenger hunts now. So. kind of like giant pitching. I'm on a roll today. Yeah. Sorry, Dodger fans. Okay. Any other director comments?
Yeah, I'd like to chime in. I think that what Steve reported on with the force main evaluation is highly important, and I'd like to have some idea of when that can be applied, because a force main leak in the Eldon force main would be disastrous. And the second item is, since we're collecting the AI information now by the code enforcement officer, in the future, or maybe how soon can we see potentially some of the results from that? Just a couple of questions, comments. Thank you.
And following along with that, Bob, does the city still repair those for us? The AI, the covers,
Only if they're rehabilitating the streets.
that's all?
Yeah, then they'll do it for us. But if it's just like I said, on the artificial intelligence program, the manhole inspection program, if we detect a manhole that's a rating of a 4 or 5, then we'll put that up and repair that immediately.
We do that ourselves?
We do it ourselves.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
The city's doing a lot of slurry coats right now. Is that affecting you guys, Steve? Are you seeing any?
No, they usually let us know when they're gonna do the projects, and I'll send the crew out to check the manholes to see if they are in need to have replaced. But slurries, they don't really raise it, right?
It doesn't raise the level or anything, but
When they
I mean, I could see them covering over. Anyway, you guys are on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, so I appreciate that. Yeah.
I just wanted to say that I've gotten some calls from people that they're so excited over having bicycle. Oh, I'm sorry. Would help if I talked into the mic. Anyway, I've gotten calls from people that have said they're so happy that the city is doing these bicycle lanes now, painting them. They're just really excited over that. So I just wanted to comment on that. And the only thing that I have is the one with the trash. Other than that, people are very happy because suddenly the trash is being picked up early in the morning, which is just amazing at my area.
It changes
Yeah.
sometimes. The routes change based on what's happening.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we will adjourn the meeting, and thank you to staff and everybody who contributed. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. I can't.